I can't turn it down. Okay. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Have Some Patience. That threw me off of my intro, but we now have theme music. My name is AJ with Design the Everything. I am here with Harrison of Precision Ingenuity, and we have Derek of Fidget Things.
Hi guys,
How you
What's going
doing?
on?
I'm doing fantastic.
I'm glad we had that great intro to build up your confidence in our professionalism.
The song is the best. I mean, I don't know. Did you write that yourself?
No, I found it on Epidemic Sounds myself. It's not playing still, right?
No.
No.
It was
Okay,
good
good.
though. It really set the mood.
It was really loud and it made me not know what to do. Anyway, how are things going?
You want me to start? Or you want to?
Yeah, you start.
I mean,
Because
going
I don't know
great.
what to say, so I'm just going to throw you straight in to
Okay,
the deep end here.
going great. I have a new product coming out, and then I'm chasing a Kickstarter, much like you are right now. So that's been pretty much my main focus. Learning 5-axis has been awesome.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
been pretty much the vast majority of my focus lately. Today I dropped off some parts for anodizing to kind of get some samples to find a new local place to do it. I really don't have any choices. There's only one place in Vegas, so that was kind of nice. Really gets rid of the decisions. But that's basically that was my day to day and my last like 3-4 weeks.
So let's take a quick step back. For everybody who doesn't know you, which is probably nobody who listens to this podcast except maybe my mom, what do you do? What kind of products do you make, etc.?
So I'm the guy behind Fidget Things. We make stuff to fidget with. I try to make other stuff too, but for some reason, things for Fidget Things are fidgets that stick. Everything else just kind of, doesn't really land or last as long. Or I get bored, so I move on to something else. But my main product is the Chill Pill. It's just a magnetic toy that makes noise when you clack it together. And I specialize in kind of doing like all sorts of different metals, or even materials. So if it's something weird, I'll try to machine it and make it into one of my products. And I've been doing it since I think I got my Tormach 440 like December 2016. And that's like kind of started my machining adventure.
And what sort of equipment do you have now?
So right now I have a Haas CL1, a Haas CM1 with a 5-axis rotary, or is it a trunnion? I guess it's a rotary.
Trunnion.
And then I have a Protomax water jet, CO2 laser, fiber laser, AF50 auto feed bandsaw, and 7 3D printers behind me.
Okay. I see at least two of the Bamboo Labs.
Yeah,
How many total?
I got a Bamboo Labs with a 16 filament AMS, and then I got
Oh,
another Bamboo Labs with just a
okay.
single filament, Prusa MK3S, two Prusa Minis, a Boron V0, which I did for fun, and then a Prusa, what do you call it, SLS1 Speed.
You have 16 different filaments in that printer?
Yeah, that's lets you print things in full color.
That's
What do I got right
crazy.
here? So like stuff I really need, like stuff by Workstram. So this is Kyle
Yeah.
Gass from Pick a Destiny. But yeah, it lets you do the different colors. Print's really good. Waste a lot of filament, but
Yeah.
part of the fun. I probably don't use as much. It's more now like convenience. So if I want to print a chill pill, I have all
Mhm.
10 colors for the chill pill. So I just hit print and it goes the color I want and then prints which one I need rather than having to change the filament out and switch. So that's kind of nice.
That is super cool.
And the other one is just like my project one, which I use for if I'm gonna do like carbon fiber or flexible filaments because you can't use it on the auto or the 16 digit or the 16 capacity thing. It doesn't fit.
Interesting. Okay.
Do you sell a lot of 3D printed stuff, or like what percentage of your sales is actually 3D printed?
Before Etsy, it was a pretty good. I mean, percentage, no. Like quantity was a lot better. Like my yearly sales would pay for like my printers in the back, like easily, for like
Oh,
3D
okay.
printed stuff. But ever since I moved off Etsy, since now I don't have like natural like traffic just finding like my main product I 3D print, it kind of just I sell like a few there here and there, but not nearly as many as I was consistently selling before.
Interesting.
Yeah. But
So
like
do you get?
I had
Go
like a
ahead.
$10 like my chill pill, the 3D printed one that started all back in 2017 is $10.
Hmm.
So if you want to buy like a gag gift for someone or like, you want to like just throw something like a stocking stuffer, it's really easy to justify a $10 purchase. So it did pretty good that way.
Hmm. That's interesting. So now that you've switched, do you have a lot higher end customers that are buying through your website? Like are your orders just averaging up, but maybe
My
less?
It went up. It's just like since my main website like is mainly getting traffic driven from Instagram and YouTube, I don't like get like that natural person following it because I don't know how to do SEO yet. It's like on my long list of
Gotcha.
things to do to like actually try to get my, rank up there. And I talked to someone that would do it for me. They wanted like $4,000. I was like, I feel like I can learn it myself and maybe do it. And like my rank, like the person I have to beat that has like the term chill pill is pretty like bad rank already. Like it'd be easy for me to like surpass them. It's just getting those articles and getting all the search words and getting yourself more out there. But like my score isn't terrible, so it wouldn't take much to like kick me off. I just don't know how to do it.
Hmm. Okay.
So a little while ago, you had some issues with Etsy, and that kind of caused you to move to your own platform. Do you want to go into that story a little bit?
Yeah, that really bums me out. So like my Etsy store, if you don't, I think that's like 34,000 sales. I've had it since 2016, right? And
Wow.
those 34,000 sales, I'd say the chill pill started again with like 16,000. So pretty much over half those are probably like chill pill related sales, like give or take a little bit. And Etsy has like a thing in their rules and regulations, which I didn't even know about, that's like prohibitive items. And one of the things in prohibitive items is strong magnets.
Really?
Yeah, so
Hmm.
it's very vague. Because like if you go on Etsy and just type in like fridge magnet, you find magnets that are in the shape of like gummy bears. Those are totally okay. Like, buy gummy bears as magnets like all day long. But if you have something that that they deem now a toy or someone reports it, they can just instantly pull the product. So I woke up one morning and I had like 4 items deactivated. So I was like, that's not good. And I got an email that said, hey, we've deactivated 4 of your listings. If you have more listings like this, we ask that you halt it immediately. Otherwise, there's a chance we could suspend your store. So I don't want to lose 34,000 sales of like history. So I just pulled off all chill pills and then I built a Shopify website like in a day. And like it's kind of the kick I needed because like the type of service for my products to like build it and like make what you want is much more doable through Shopify because if you look at my chill pill, it's a mix and match. You can make any combination of metals. Each metal has 3 to 4 different variations. They have 3 finishes. You have, I think, like 8 different materials, and then you have the extra doses that go in between. So there's thousands of different combinations. And if you're making stuff on Etsy, you don't get that choice. You just have option A, option B, and your inventory is only controlled by that one item. So you can't like say I have 25 titanium halves, 10 stainless halves, and then if someone buys a titanium stainless chill pill, it doesn't take one from each. It just takes whichever listing they bought from.
So asking for a friend, how do you do that on Shopify? How does that work in the back end?
So originally I first launched the website, I just sold everything as individual halves. But
Mm-hmm.
I basically put like I had this up for 2 days, but I was constantly reiterating. But I didn't like how that I had a pop up that come up like you need 2 halves or like the listing would say in your shopping cart. And that didn't seem shopper friendly. So I found an add-on that was free because that's the hardest part with Shopify is finding apps that are also free. And there's one called Globo Product Variants. So I created a
Oh,
listing that costs $0 and then added a variant, like a Globo variant, that lets you pick 2 different halves, and it adds things from that listing based on those halves, and then it adds it to your cart. So the only awkward thing about it is when a customer checks out, they have the 2 halves that they picked from the product builder, but they also have that zero cost product in their cart
yeah.
that doesn't require shipping, but no one's ever said anything about it. It's just I have to manually fulfill those things separate as like, just fulfill.
Hmm.
But
That's interesting.
it was basically a free way to get product variations that didn't look too clunky. And I did it for like if you look at my CoinFig listing, that has 27 different engraving options with 2 different sides, 5 different materials, and 4 different variations of like fidget. And I did that all global. So you basically just go in there, you say like, I want this material, I want this type, and then I want these 2 designs, and it throws all the pieces in the cart. and then says like CoinFig Builder for the $0.
I will definitely have to look into that because with our new carabiners, we're going to get into some of that because we're going to have the different core colors, the different scale colors, and eventually here we're going to offer different screw colors and potentially engraving patterns on the scales.
Yeah, the app is really easy to use. It's called, would write it down. It's called Globo. It's the only free
Okay.
one I found. And it has like unlimited option sets. And like you pick the type of drop down you want. You could do like radio buttons or a drop down. And then you add all the options under the drop down. And then for each option, you list what item it's connected to.
That is awesome.
And it just auto adds a cart.
I'll
And then I have
definitely
things
do
like
that.
CartBot, which will like auto add a free gift to the cart when they buy a certain item, and that's how I do give away like digits, the little mascot that comes with all my orders. Which was like a failed idea, but it's not a failed idea. So it's just an idea I never like fully moved forward with.
So I could do like for me, I want to start including some meeples as like freebies like that. So I could do like if your order's under $10, you get a 3D printed meeple. If your order's $10
Yeah,
to
you can do it by
$30, you
order
get an
value
aluminum
or
meeple.
whatever item they buy. You will get
That's
someone
cool.
occasionally mad at you saying they don't want free stuff. Stop adding. Like I've had people get mad at me. It's like I can't remove this from my cart, and I'm like, you're gonna get it regardless. It's just to make it look like you're getting something for free. And he's like, I don't want this trash. So I'm like, okay, well that was rude.
do you use Sticker Mule?
I do.
How many hot sauces do you have? It's
how many hot
legitimately
sauces?
become a problem. Yeah, so if you order enough stickers from Sticker Mule, they send you a hot sauce.
I don't order enough stickers then.
We order a lot from Sticker Mule. We have, I don't know, probably 20 different stickers over there right now, at least, not including the sticker of the month stickers.
Oh, that's right. You have
and
that
so,
too.
like, we get a thing of hot sauce like once a month or twice a month, and it's become a problem.
I recently got less stingy with stickers. Like I order my warning labels for the chill pill. So like not only does the bottle have a warning on it, and it's also fun, but there is a warning on that, so take it seriously. And then I also put a thing over the lid that's like a yellow like warning label, like do not eat, keep away from children, not really a prescription. Just to show like my due diligence, like I am paying attention. I'm not like recklessly just throwing magnets out there.
Are those like the high quality vinyl Sticker Mule stickers, or are those cheaper, more disposable-y ones?
There's the higher quality. They're like laminated. This is one I put on my knives. They're like a good material.
Okay.
They're just kind of there, just like a hey, pay attention. And you deliberately have to take it off, or like you can't open it without noticing it. So I started out with a Kickstarter.
Yeah. So let's go on to your not current Kickstarter, but your next Kickstarter. This one you're about to launch. What's that for?
So
when does it start, et cetera, et cetera?
That's for Switch. Basically, it's like a container that holds a keyboard key switch, and then you can hot swap out the keys. If you like loud mechanical keyboards, you can do it that way. You can also buy quiet. You can basically take them out and put whatever key type you want in there. So I don't know if you ever looked at like the keyboard community, but they get really deep into key switches, key caps, sound, feel. The price they pay for some keyboards are crazy, but it's a deep rabbit hole.
I don't have a fancy one, but I do have a mechanical keyboard.
Yeah, I met a guy in Vegas, and he does custom keyboards. He designed a 3-piece one out of aluminum. He bought a Sile machine with a 4th axis to machine them. And and then he hand solders the boards.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. It's a process.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of found out about it, and then I remember like I talking to him, like there wasn't really a lot of people making like exotic metal keycaps. So I'm like, that'd be cool to make. Like, there's I think Brothers Concept made a superconductor one. Like occasionally they make like a handful of them, but you didn't really see much more than that. And I'm like, oh man, I'd make a keycap one day. And then I got that 5th axis, and I'm like, okay, the first product I'm going to make is something like keycap related. And I designed the holder because there was only like one other version on the market, and they were selling in like the secondary market for like $800.
Wow.
And I'm like, the guy that makes them isn't selling them constantly. He's just raffling them off. And then the secondary market's like $600 to $800 a piece. And I'm like, okay, I want to make something similar. Don't want to copy the ideas, but I have a fifth axis, so I'm going to add a whole bunch of angles, chamfers, stuff you couldn't normally do because
Yeah.
his is just a square. It's a nice titanium square or
It's a nice
brass square, but I have a five axis. I can hit all those angles, and I did like the screws on all four sides. So like if you look at the part I made, if you made that on a normal machine, it would be six operations,
Yeah.
and I can do it now in two. I guess three technically.
Oh yeah, if you count dovetailing, right?
What was that?
Are you dovetailing? Are you dovetailing those in?
Yeah, so I got a little mini fifth axis 1 inch vise.
Mhm.
And then I have the thing you made for me that holds my other six, that holds my normal vise that has two soft jaws. And I basically op one, it cuts the dovetail, and then I flip that onto the five axis vise, does all the machining except for like a stem, and then I put it back on the vise, and that takes off the dovetail. I could buy a slitting saw for it, but I'm already doing that, and that operation takes 1 minute. So it's like, is it really worth?
That's
Do I
true.
have to go chase
Yeah.
it in my chip pan? And then AJ, you're quiet right now. You don't know.
Am I quiet?
Oh, there you go. Now you're back. You were quiet for a second.
I was probably farther away.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
and
I set that up and it's pretty good. I'm going to do it from Round Bar instead because I can get other materials more readily available. It's a slightly more expensive, but I load a 32 millimeter blank in, goes in, does a dovetail, flip it over, cut the whole part out, flip it back, cut the dovetail out, finished part. So I got the cycle time down to about 10 minutes, 11 minutes.
Per keycap?
Not keycap, per like actual holder. So if I
Body.
sell a lot, that's like my flow. So I'll have to stand there. So I did the math. I can do like 20 to 30 a day, just standing at my machine. It kind of sucks. It's a short cycle, but
yeah, because of the five axis, you can kind of have
yeah,
to run
but
it one at a
it's fun to
time.
watch.
So
The
that
keycaps I
brings
got down to 12 minutes in like the harvest material.
Okay.
And that's
so
with
that
both
brings up
operations.
that brings up a quick question I have. How do you manage inventory having so many options? Like especially now that you're going to have a fifth axis running one part at a time, like you said, you can only do so many a day. Like how many variations are you going to be doing, and how do you manage that currently with what you have?
So for stuff, like to make it easy, I refine the process to where I'm 100% confident in it. And then I sell it made to order.
Oh,
So a lot
One
of
piece
like the
flow.
chill pills, for example, I at this point, all the materials except for exotics, like stuff that's readily available, like brass, copper, aluminum, stainless steel, titanium, all that is basically infinite inventory. And then I just kind of restock my bins as I see they get low. And if I run out during making, I just throw a bar in and make a bunch because I've proven the process and I have so much confidence in it that I'm not concerned. The only like thing that could bite me in the ass is a machine breaks. It's happened to me like once, but I don't have enough volume to where if that happens, I'm just gonna like completely sink. But yeah, and then like for coin fig, same thing. I have all those processes down pretty good. I make like small amounts of each, and I just keep a lot of the raw stock in place. And if I just run out, I throw on my fixture plate. They have a 0 point on it, or not a 0 point. I guess I mill a new feature into it, and I have a routine where I press the button, I load the pallet, and it goes and probes that point, and now it finds my pallet. And that's what I started doing for CoinFig. Switch is probably something I will do similar with brass and copper and like aluminum. Although I don't know if I'll keep making aluminum because I do want them coated because I've learned that there's some people that get like a black residue when handling aluminum on their hands. I don't know if you've heard of that, like selling raw aluminum products.
mm-mm.
Yeah, it's weird. Some people like really, I didn't know aluminum oxide like copper or brass, but handling raw aluminum for some people is just as bad. Like their hands will turn
Really?
like black.
Only some people?
Yeah, it's just like the type of oil in their skin, like how bad it is. Like I'm sure maybe like if you've never experienced it, if you did it for a while, you might see a little bit. But I've had stuff come back where the color of the pill is now black, and they send me pictures, and
Interesting.
it looks like they've just been like rolling in oil, or yeah,
Oh
like
my.
black oil.
So do you do any coating? Do you Cerakote or powder coat or?
No, I had an anodizing setup, and I just tried it again recently, and then I remembered how much I hate it.
Yeah.
It's slow, and I actually anodized it, but I think I did like a type 3 to where I couldn't get any color to stick to it. But then I tumbled it afterwards, and it would not come off.
Huh.
So I put some really hard coating on that part. I was surprised. Like I threw it in the tumbler for 40 minutes to all the other parts. All the other parts had that nice, like, good finish. These ones look still like they're brand new out of the anodizing bath.
Huh.
It was
That's kind of
weird.
cool.
Accidental cool coating.
Well, yeah.
I tried anodization once and was like, nah, nope, not for me.
It's not even the chemicals or anything. It's just, you have to let it sit for an hour in this like bath, and you have to watch the electricity, and then you have to boil your dye, and you dip it in the dye, and then you boil it, and you dip it in thing, and then that's not even counting etching it. It's just I did it for like a small batch of parts I sold. I made these screwdrivers, and then I did like 10 of them. Like this sucks.
Hmm.
And then Cerakote, I have a friend here who does it, and after watching him do it, I don't ever want to touch it. It's the amount of cleanup and stuff to, after each color, it seems painstaking. I tried selling him on powder coating. He says
Yeah,
if they can have
powder's
it.
great.
It seems so easy.
It is reliable, and it depends on, like, this is one of those things where it's easy depending on what you're doing and who you're talking to. With my products, I have a pretty high standard of what I'm doing, and the parts I'm making are small and kind of difficult to powder coat, and they've got lots of tight corners and stuff like that. And so it's very kind of particular to that. If you are doing just a like big panel, like you're making electrical panels, you want the electrical panel to be white or whatever, super, super, super easy. Not a problem at all. When you start to get into a little bit detailed stuff, like little tiny detailed stuff, there's definitely like you build a process and you follow the process and you tweak the process until it works.
I mean, it seems to work out pretty good for you. Like that's all your stuff, right?
Yeah, but I don't think I really did a good job at coding the carabiners until like the last 25% of all the carabiners we shipped.
Okay.
Some colors were really easy, but some colors like the yellow and the Manta green, which is kind of like a tennis ball green, like we really struggled with, and I had to redo a bunch of carabiners, and there are some out there that are way, 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 way too thick because I couldn't get the powder to flow right and stuff.
Oh, okay. Like it was like on the coating on the actual carabiner itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm not experienced with powder coating. Like how thick of a layer is it going to put on my product? Like is it going to mess with an M2 screw?
Yes.
Okay.
On the my current revision of carabiners, I just coat everything, leaving it unplugged and all that, and then I run a tap through the holes to clean them out afterwards. But yeah, it doesn't quite
sounds
plug those
painstaking.
holes. But
are you gonna do that for? Is that the plan? Are you gonna cap them when you do the Kickstarter, or are you just gonna keep doing that process instead?
TBD.
TBD. Okay.
Yeah, right now I can reliably make the prototype carabiners, but our process is going to change when we go to production.
Yeah.
And we'll have to figure out some of these little things.
Yeah, running a tap. I just hate taps. So.
Well, you just put it in a drill and zoop zoop.
Yeah. Well, when I did my my Snap Kickstarter, so I thread milled it all, and then I didn't know thread mills got dull at one point, and then when I was assembling, I made my batch of brass, which was after the aluminum. I think it was 100 brass, but it wasn't 360. It was the harder, like less lead-filled brass. So I started to assemble them, and I got to a batch where like the M2 screws would not work anymore.
Interesting.
And I could not figure out why. I'm like, oh, there's something called tool wear. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I had to hand tap them. Actually, sorry, I paid a buddy to go stand in my hot garage and redo all the holes for him. He did it fine. That was the best money I paid to make that happen, because I did it for like a few of them. And like, I can't do this. This sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. It adds a little bit of a time to the process, but I don't know if it adds more time than plugging the holes and unplugging the holes.
Yeah, it's really hard, because if you do plug the holes, you could do like I guess you could do like a threaded rod that's small and just screw it in real quick. But the amount of time, well, I guess that probably wouldn't be too bad, right? But it might chip as you take it out, right?
So the way you traditionally do it is with a silicon plug, and basically you just stick it in there, and it kind of conforms to your hole, and then also the powder doesn't stick to the silicon.
Okay, so it wouldn't have a chance to flake off.
Yeah.
But do they make a plug for or was it 080?
They do.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
it. I saw that McMaster has some that should theoretically work, and then I found just like a specialty vendor who made powder coat plugs. It's like what they do, and they had a different style that looks a little bit more convenient. The ones from McMaster, like the drawing literally looks exactly like a toothpick,
Okay.
which I don't know how well that would work, but
So
I don't
they're
know.
they're
I've
not
made
tiny. They're big. They'll stick out like.
yes.
Oh, okay. That
Could
makes more sense. I was just picturing these tiny little plugs that you're poking in,
no.
and then you somehow get them out.
Could you actually use a toothpick? I wonder if that's actually close enough in size, because that would probably actually work.
I wouldn't want anything that could potentially combust in the oven or like cause
Oh,
soot
that's true.
to contaminate the powder or something weird like that.
That'd be good. You get it hot enough to where it just burns off the wood. Well, what
There we
is
go.
only like how hot do you get that oven?
It's only like 400 degrees.
Oh,
You'd probably be fine.
It wouldn't catch fire, but it might like off gas or something weird.
how are you actually holding them? Like, cause are you actually holding them? Because you could hold them through the screw. If you screwed something in, that could be a good point to hold them as well.
The current method is I am sticking a wire through one of the screw holes. I may change that process and actually drill a hole specifically for holding during powder coating. Just because
the scale.
under the scale, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I may also add a hole there for work holding purposes when I go to machine. So I can just also go through there. And it would be a bigger hole, which would make it easier to get the wire through. Because right now it's a pretty tight fit.
Do you got
Now,
any
just-
like rack shit?
I will need to come up with something. I'm
Okay.
using my old carabiner racks, which work, but it's they're kind of inefficient space wise. And I think I can do something better.
Yeah, I've been looking at. I remember when I was looking at anodizing, like the big star racks with like fingers on it. You just
Mhm.
load up all your parts onto it. You could
Yeah.
just like get a stick and then run a bunch of 080 threaded rods and then just twirl them on the ends and then you have it all held. It's like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That'd be
The
interesting.
way I have them now is I have a 80-20 rectangle, basically. It's just a rectangle that slides into my oven and sits on some little brackets that are on the side. And then hanging down from that rectangle, there's little hooks.
Okay.
And I can hook like 12 on there with my current configuration. The problem with that is I can only fit one of those little thingies in the oven at a time. And if I change the shape, I could get multiple of those little racks. So I could let's say spray color A, put the carabiners in the oven, switch to color B while the first rack is still cooking, put color B in the oven, take color A out. Because right now I'm only like I do one color at a time.
Uh-huh.
What are you using for an oven? Just
I
like
have
a
a
normal.
electric smoker.
Oh,
That's efficient.
that's basically the exact same thing we do with our Cerakote. Although we can't get up to 400 with ours.
Okay. Mine kind of maxes out at 400, but that's the max temperature that you commonly see for powder coat. Some of mine run a little bit lower. And you can compensate by giving them a little bit longer in there. So I bake mine like 2 minutes longer than the instructions say, but they're actually baking at like 375 instead of 400.
Have you looked at like a what is it, professional oven? Like what those go for?
I haven't really looked into it. No, it's on my list to upgrade eventually here. There's even already a circuit in the wall for a 220-volt oven.
Okay.
It's just not super high on my priority list right now.
Yeah, it's more of like you got to really kind of, I guess, need the volume or justify the volume or have bigger parts.
Yeah. Bigger parts. It would be nice for bigger parts. Probably not for a product. Well, actually, maybe for future products. But like every now and then, it would be nice to be able to like powder coat a fixture or like a shop project. And there have definitely been things where they just don't fit in my oven.
Yeah, I think I asked Harrison like to Cerakote the part he made for me, but like I'm
Yeah.
imagining how long that would take in an oven to get that up to like or are you just heating up the outside? It's like that massive hunk of aluminum.
With the parts that we do for the gun stuff, we cure it for about 2 to 3 hours
Oh wow.
with the Cerakote stuff. Now I'd have to double check with Weston because he's been the one that's been running all that. If that's what Cerakote recommends or if that's just what he's found that works, but Part of that could be that we can't get up to the max temperature that Cerakote recommends, and so we might be offsetting that with time.
Yeah, the parts I had done as a sample, I finished in my air fryer because I had to leave. He did them for 20 minutes. He's like, it'll be fine in 20 minutes. You just don't get the full hardness unless you do it longer. He's like, just bake it a little bit longer. So I put it in my air fryer at home.
Nice.
If it works, it works.
It's pretty tough. It goes in my pocket and jingles around and have no problems with it. So I think it did something.
I need to ask people who have my carabiners if they've seen any wear on them. I have not seen any wear on my carabiners that I use. Do you have any, Harrison, on yours?
Yes.
Harrison loves his carabiner.
I do. I wear it I bring it with me every day. I got the edges right in here, all along these sharp edges. They're all worn off completely.
Interesting.
I can send you some close-up.
Loop?
No, I just have them on my ring.
Okay.
So I just carry it with me. People ask what I do all the time, and even though I didn't make this, it's kind of my demo piece. So that being said, I do have one of the orange slices that I did for AJ, but it's one of the ones that I completely messed up because I had my offset wrong and I tore through one of the corners with the chamfer bit. And so it's a bad one, but I was like, I'll keep the bad one for myself. So.
That's what I keep with all my stuff. I have a drawer full of just mistakes. Everything else I sell.
I have a bucket that I refer to as the friends and family bucket. So if anyone comes by my shop and they want like a carabiner where the hole's off center or something, they can just grab one.
That works.
It's kind of sad how full it is. Like there's way too many things in the friends and family bucket.
Oh man, that's one thing I am happy I've gotten better with is like my scrapping has gotten a lot better. Like even with this 5-axis thing, I actually didn't scrap a part with the 5-axis. Like first time doing it, I was like, how did I get to that point? I mean, I was asking a million questions on Discord, but
was it because you were terrified of it, or?
I think so, because I didn't want to crash. Like I haven't crashed, except for when I first turned it on. I haven't crashed my compact mill. And I don't want to know what will happen when it does. It's like an ISO 20 taper.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess with anything, so I'm like super cautious. I'm not going to knock on wood because I don't want to crash it, but it's pretty. I make sure to double check all my offsets multiple times. So.
Do you have dynamic work offsets for that?
No, I don't want to pay $6,000.
So how? Oh, okay. So are you just like you have everything programmed on centerline and then you just try to line up your stock material as close to centerline?
So I built the base for it, and then I put the vices mounted center. So there's 6 holes that are mounted to the subplate I made, and the subplate I needed to make only because the stupid 5-axis vise has one locating pin that is like welded into place. So you couldn't just take it out like it one dowel pin. So I had to make a plate just to raise it high enough to where I could use that pin. So I measured the center of the bore and the top of the plate before I put the plate on, and then I measured the top of the vise and took the difference of those, and then in my cam I created a sketch plane that offset from that point to that distance, and that's my center point. So that's just what's programmed. It's some magical number that I don't want to ever forget.
Yeah.
But since I'm only working with like, what is it, like a 1.5 inch platter, it'd be really hard to be off enough to where you're gonna like throw off your part. And then if the stock I'm working on, since I'm not holding stuff in a vise and like remachining it, that's more what DWO is for, because you want to be able to form it off the point and remember it. But since my stock is always there and oversized, even if I was off like a thou, it's still the center per rotation, it's still gonna make a part in it.
Yeah, you just can't be so far off that you don't have any material on the side.
Yeah, and I think I'd have more problems if I was that far off from the center line. So
like
everything kind of sits in place. I just got an ER32 collet plate to put on it. I bought one from Amazon. It's not the same one as in the picture, so I don't know how I'm going to mount it yet, but that's a problem we'll figure out at some point. That way I want to buy a slitting saw and do like some small round stock stuff. Or I could just buy the tool for my lathe, but I don't know what's easier. I feel like I'm trying to do a harder problem by getting it on my mill. Because there's one part I still need to prototype, and it's It's an M2 size like threaded part that has like a loop on the end of it. And if I do it on my lathe, I don't know how I'm ever going to find it once it parts it off. And then I also need to buy an extremely small, I guess, point thread for it. Single point thread tool. So
I say salami slice everything.
yeah, the only problem is I wouldn't be salami slicing it. I'd make one to verify my design, and then that's a part I'm already trying to outsource. So like
Ah,
all last week, I worked on keycaps. So like I did like the generic, every design you see in a keycap, and
mhm.
then I designed it to where it more. Then I got some samples of keycaps that were more just like square. They were way too tall, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do my own design. So I designed my own that's like shorter and fits the product better, and then I sent that to the same company that mass sells these, and I'll probably outsource the keycap portion because it's
Okay.
just cheaper to do that. Because for me to make this keycap takes 12 minutes one by one. That's the same amount of time as making the body. Like I'm not gonna sell the keycap the same amount as the body. It just doesn't seem worth it.
So
So
overseas company or
Yeah, I'll
U.S.
probably
based?
do. I found someone that looks like they can do it. I'm still waiting for some pricing, but I'll probably just do it overseas for that.
Okay.
And then same,
so
I sent him the part for the thread, the screw also. I don't know anyone with the Swiss, so I actually asked a guy that makes my coins if he wanted to do it, and then he stopped responding. So I'm guessing he didn't want to do the job.
so
Oh, so you don't make
here's
your
a
own coin blanks?
oh
No,
yeah,
well, that's what I wanted to buy.
Interesting.
Like when I was looking for a new lathe, that was one of the other reasons I wanted another lathe, so I could bring that all inside
Mhm.
in-house. But like, you can't make like Harrison knows for making a coin, you have to do two setups without a twin spindle. So hand loading a coin, and then you don't read your edges. I want the edges readed, yeah, readed. So like to add that, you know, by a knurling tool, your stock you need is minimum. What's over 1.25? You need to get 1.5 inch stock, maybe 1.375 they have to get
hmm
a 1.25 millimeter coin. So I can buy the coins for like $3 each shipped. And that's and then the stainless I get for less than five shipped. And they're on a Swiss lathe. They're just fantastic. So
yeah.
I'd rather just go that route. I want to bring them in house, but the last machine I looked at, can't think of what the name was. I was like, I actually got a quote, got approved for financing, was totally going to buy it, and then found out I needed 100 amps of three phase. I'm like,
Is that all?
I'll just get a phase converter. Like it can't be that bad, right? So a 100 amp three phase converter. Guess how many amps that takes? Single phase.
Like
One
200.
70.
225 amp
Oh,
breaker.
Yeah.
It's more than my whole house.
oh my.
So I had to like tell the sales like I researched it like I need 225 amps. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I had no idea. I'm like, are you sure it takes 100 amps? Like, I mean, it probably doesn't when it's max running. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but for warranty, you need to have a 100 amp breaker for it or 100 amps of this for it.
How big of a machine was it?
The max bar size was 42 millimeter twin spindle lathe.
Okay,
Mm,
So
twin
like,
spindle.
yeah.
right, but like you're still only turning a 42 millimeter diameter
Yeah,
bar at like max. Like even if I'm taking a beefy cut in that, like you're not gonna need that much power to go through it.
but
Uh,
you have two spindles, so you could be doing that twice theoretically.
I mean, sure, yeah, I could be doing the machine I was looking at could do each side simultaneously because the sub spindle, it was actually cheaper to get the sub spindle that's fully independent than to get the one that's like locked with the others. We can only do one at a time. So you could technically have both doing it at the same time with this machine, but I don't think I would ever use that.
what what machine was it? Out of curiosity.
What brand was it? Citizen Bottom. Let's see if I can find it real quick.
Well, while you're finding that, I have another question because
Okay.
we were talking about slitting saws. You got a fifth axis. Do you need a slitting saw on a fifth axis? Because you
You
could
can
just
use, so I
rotate it
tried
and
using, you can use an end mill. It just takes more material. So like I was gonna slitting saw the part away, but I didn't have a long enough eighth inch end mill to do that. So I could just do that, but you do need more clearance.
Yeah, you need. From my time with the Pocket NC, you kind of needed like an awkwardly long tool, and that made the rigidity on that tool pretty bad, which made the cut quality kind of terrible. Granted, it's probably a lot better in that machine than a Pocket NC, but I had some Harvey Tools long range relieved end mills, and they were great for it, but it was an expensive tool, and it was like a inch long eighth inch tool.
well, I'm just thinking about my machine with the slitting saw, and that's a BT30. So a BT20 with the slitting saw, that just sounds horrible.
Oh, not even BT20, ISO 20. There's no teeth.
Oh yeah.
I've only I've only ran it hard enough on accident once. That was when my high feed mill was dead. I did not like that because there's nothing to grip, so it just kind of like it tweaked inside, it tweaked the taper a little bit. So I was looking at a Miyano BNA.
Yeah.
Miyano BNA.
Yeah, it was pricey, but I think I could have justified it. I think I could have, like, I was going to get that machine and then spend money on SEO and try to like really like scale, but because I could basically get that, make my main product in one go, and not have to do any handwork, which is like my current like limiting factor.
Mhm. My goal for the near future is to eliminate any or all handwork. So like I had the sandblasting a lot on the last carabiners, and like there is no way I'm going to let myself do any sandblasting on this next batch.
How are you gonna get away from doing it yourself?
I'm just not going to sandblast. Well, okay, actually, I should say, with the exception of prepping for powder coat.
I was going to say,
However-
you're going to do something.
However, with powder, so when I was sandblasting off burrs with my old process,
Oh,
and that's
that's
what was
right,
taking
yeah.
a long time. With powder coating, you don't need like a really good, consistent, even, deep in
Grippy
etching with
surface.
yeah. What you can do is you can stick your parts in a bucket and then stick the nozzle of the gun in the bucket and then turn it on and wait 5 minutes. And that does a perfectly good job. Sometimes you
Okay.
get parts where it's like heavy on one side and light on the other side, but it's all etched and it all powder coats the same.
Have you seen a turnback knife? What he made for his powder
Yes.
coat booth?
Yeah,
That's
we
great.
were talking about that. Is he using that actively or did he just try it once?
I think he said he's still using it. It's holding up
Okay.
pretty good because I asked him about it like not that long ago. Today when I went to get my stuff anodized, he showed me. I'm like, "Oh, do you guys offer sandblasting service?" Like, "Oh yeah," and he showed me the machine that has it. Much more robust
Okay.
looking than a 3D printed cage, but it has like 3 nozzles going into that rotating drum, and then
Mhm.
inside that drum is like rubber tumbling media, and then they just throw up
Oh, that's
it's like 100
interesting.
parts in there.
Hmm.
Really cool
Yeah.
machine.
Say I've seen those too. I've seen at least smaller units that are kind of like the same size as a Harbor Freight glass cabinet, like the freestanding ones, and they're not that expensive.
Oh, really?
They're like $2,000 or so.
Okay, I'm debating buying a sandblast cabinet, but I don't want a sandblast cabinet again because I got rid of my last one.
Yeah,
But if it's that cheap for an auto one, that might be right up my alley. Depending on how big it is.
I don't remember what the company was. I'd have to go looking for it
I can
again.
find it in China,
But
worst case.
yeah,
That's where I got
but
my
yeah, they were
tumbler.
like $2,000. The only thing I've heard about them is they really just like to beat the corners of your parts to death. Like, like if you
I
have
wonder if
any
that's what the rubber's for.
remotely sharp corner, that's what I was just thinking. Is the people I've talked to probably didn't know to do that or haven't done that.
Yeah, you
That
had like
makes a lot of
giant,
sense.
like 1 inch, like rubber or quarter-inch, half-inch, like rubber slugs that were in the bin with it.
How
That
big
would
was the
solve that
tray?
problem.
What was that?
How big was the tray that they were in?
It was like, I want to say it was like a mini, like 1 gallon bucket,
Okay.
like tilted sideways and had
round,
like
like a
2 or 3
tumbler.
nozzles just going into it. And he just closes the door, he turns it on.
That's cool.
But the
The
service is only $25 he charged for it. I'm like, well,
well,
that's
that's
hard to justify. Getting
yeah.
Is that per batch?
Yeah, per like 100 parts, he said usually is what it is.
Oh, that's cool.
But still, $25 for 100 parts, you really can't complain too much about that.
No.
That's a hard reason to justify it. I like to bring everything in house though. It's just coding. That's what I can't bring in house.
Except for
Yeah.
powder coating.
It's just too like you need an oven, you need the space to do it. Like right now in my garage, breathing probably more stuff than I should be breathing, but I can't imagine the powder coat booth.
How much space do you have that you do all your manufacturing in?
2-car garage.
2-car garage?
So like
Yep.
300 square feet, 400 square feet.
Probably 400. I think it's like a 20 by 20. It's like a good sized
Okay.
2-car garage. It's probably the bigger end
That's
one.
decent.
It's filled to the
I-
T.
I
had to do
forget
the
how
shop
spoiled
update
I am.
video.
Yeah.
But I want another machine. I might be moving in the next like 6 months. A lot
Oh.
bigger space. But
Like
we'll see.
you are personally moving or the
Personally,
business is
yeah.
moving?
Another house.
Same area?
Yeah, I mean much further away, but like the area is small in general. But if like all goes well, I'll have it's a three-car tandem two-car garage. So like, normal two-car garage, but one side is two cars
Hmm.
deep. And then
Yeah.
attached to that also is an RV garage.
Oh, nice.
So I'll have all that space. And then I'll
Is
For
it
probably look
like a
into,
thousand square feet.
oh yeah, it'll probably be like, yeah, it's like the RV garage I think was like 16 by 40.
Oh,
And
wow.
then
Okay.
I have that other garage space that's like a probably 10 by 10. So it'll be a nice, that'll be interesting if I can get that set up. But yeah, then I'll look at new machines again. Like ideally, part of me still wants a Datron. I don't think I'll ever get one. I can never find a good project to justify it because I work in so many weird materials. Or I still want another lathe, but they all just seem so big or too much power. Or I would buy another CM because I love that machine.
Okay.
Like, have you decided on
Yeah.
like what you want to get next?
Me or Harrison?
Yeah, you first. I know you keep bouncing back and forth with like what your next business venture is going to be.
Yeah, I do. It also depends on how much I am going to outsource versus keeping in here. The way things are moving now, it's looking like I will be out. Like my goal is to outsource more of the production. And in that case, I basically just need prototyping machines, which means a small lathe would be great, something like the Tormach 15L, or like the Pocket NC 5-axis would also be great for prototyping.
That thing is so cool, but it just seems it's going to be so expensive. Like it's a hard one to like. I'm still waiting to see like the power it actually has. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is it going to be able to do all the materials, or is it going to be like a aluminum brass chugging machine?
Well, I mean, you're doing it all on a CM1. How much power does that have?
I mean, that's technically a 5 horsepower, 30,000 RPM spindle, and the machine weighs 2,500 pounds. Like, just talking like mass wise, it's a huge
Yeah.
difference. Like, when I was cutting harder materials on the 770, like, just the jump and finish difference, even like on aluminum, was huge just from like the amount of mass the machine has.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I don't know. So the swing side of this thing is like that was kind of earlier thinking when it was just AJ. But now that I have a Scott in the shop, the equation kind of changes where it makes a lot more sense to bring stuff in house.
Yeah,
And if that's true, then I kind of want to go more of an automation route. But
yeah, I
I
kind of
don't know.
wondered why you wanted to outsource. I mean, I guess when it was just you, maybe it made more sense, but it seems like the volume I feel like you need to want to outsource something seems significantly more than keeping it in-house.
Yeah, I mean, not really. I got this podcast co-host here who I can just kind of send stuff to, and
Yeah,
it's not ridiculous. Like I'm not making screws where I need a super high volume of things to be profitable. Like I'm making things that are generally higher margin.
And to
yeah,
be
I'm just trying to
fair,
think like the amount you'd have to make to, I guess, I don't know. I thought about outsourcing, but I remember like when I was looking at my utility knife I made, I got like a quote to like outsource it, and it was like make it in-house. It cost me like in raw aluminum was like $2, right? If I
Mm-hmm.
outsourced it, still unfinished, like I would just get it in pieces, it was like $25. Like I mean, I don't have the labor to make it, but at the same time, like that's a huge portion of, a machine. Like for those, I was running five at a time. So I could walk away for 2.5 hours and just change it out.
Yeah, the equation for me is how like how much does it cost me to be running the machine when you start to bring in things like opportunity cost?
Okay.
Because let's say, during I'm going to do at least most of the production for this next Kickstarter for the Carabiners. Let's say that I took that same, 3 months of production or whatever, and I made my next Kickstarter 10 times better or 100 times better in that time period. So I make half as much on my Carabiners or as quarter of as much profit, but then the next Kickstarter can be 100 times better.
You can, okay, you can like put more time focused on developing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like more the like just do it, try it, and struggle through it. Is my generally like I remember like fidget spinners when I did that in 2017. My wife hated me, or my girlfriend at the time, because I would get like 100 orders a day, and she's like, just turn it off, turn off the order. So I'm like, no, you don't turn it off. Like you just figure out a way to make it work. You just keep doing
Yeah.
it because is it going to happen again? And like my vision of like how it works with like managing the time or like opportunity cost is different. Like I was on the complete other end of the spectrum. We were all talking about it in Discord about like tracking time.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. I think the best short-term solution for me right now is get a prototyping spindle and or outsource every other project. So this current project, the carabiners, I'll be doing most of that in-house, with the exception of like a bunch of the material removal is going to be done by SendCut Send or other laser company,
I
and that
wasn't even counting
saves a
SendCut
lot of
Send as it.
time. But then the next project is going to be basically 100% lathe, and so I'm going to send that off to Buddy with lathe.
That makes sense. Yeah, if you don't have the machine, like that was probably like I love my Protomax, like the water jet. It's a great machine, and like I've made a lot of stuff with it, but it was probably the worst decision getting that over just using SendCut Send. And I remember I
Mm-hmm.
was like on like the fence. I'm like, well, I could just send these out as a blank and get it shipped to me probably for cheaper, like price per part. But yeah, that's probably the route I should have went. But that machine is great. So if you want a Wazer, get a Wazer, or not a Wazer. Ooh, no, Protomax.
The Protomax, yeah.
Don't buy a Wazer. I looked into those
The
deeply.
the trade-off always comes down to iteration time, and like, I'm going to need to do a couple iterations on my new parts via SendCut Send. And like I'm gonna have to budget like 6 weeks for it, because I know it's gonna take at least 2 or 3 different iterations. And every time you do it, you have to wait 2 weeks. With you can get a part
Yeah,
laser
that's true.
cut or design a part and have it water jet cut within an hour or whatever.
Well, that's what I mean. I use it for cutting blanks, so I can design a blank, figure out the work holding, run it on the machine, figure out what I need to tweak, add more support, or move like tabs, and like that's primarily the main use of it.
Yeah.
Was like cutting out blanks for products because it saved
Yeah.
machining time.
And I'm gonna change my process pretty heavily on this next batch of carabiners, or at least that's my plan. We'll see if it works. My theory is, instead of ordering individual little blanks and nesting each of them in their own little fixture, I'm going to get it basically cut as a big long like strip that'll have like 10 carabiners in a row, and I'm just going to bolt down that whole strip and do a bunch of work on them, flip them over, do a bunch of work on them, secure them with individual fasteners, and then zip off the tabs.
It should work just fine. That's exactly what I do for my knives.
Oh, is
I
it?
do it, and
Okay.
yeah. So I posted pictures on my Instagram, but I basically cut out a knife that has all 4 parts, because Snap's 4 parts: the bottom and the top part. It has the 2 top parts and the 2 bottom parts, and it has basically like 3 triangles that have a quarter 20 hole in it, and it has the tabs already and then I just do all the work, and then I mill up the tabs, and then I flip it, screw it down, and then remove the tabs, and I have a full complete knife. So like it totally does work, and that's a much better. I didn't even think about doing that for the carabiner, but that would totally work, because you can just design it to where they laser cut a hole, and that's like an island that the bolt sits on, and then you have like fingers coming off that island to hold it, and you can do one per carabiner. And then when you flip it, honestly, the repeatability of flipping the part with just the quarter 20 hole is good enough for even doing chamfers.
Okay.
You'd be surprised. Like I just make the hole exactly the size of the bolt. I also did it for tactile, but the next time when I did the tactile, I actually made a negative on the pallet, so when I bolted it on, it aligned every time.
Yeah, the main thing I want to do is be able to chamfer both sides, because one of the issues I'm running into, especially on some of the lighter colored powder coats, which are a little bit transparent, is the sharp corners show through. And like on my yellows, it's really noticeable. Apparently, yellow is traditionally a very hard color to powder coat with, because the chemical they use is a little bit transparent.
Okay.
And the powder, when you bake it, it likes to run away from the corners, like a surface tension thing. And so you end up with very thin layers at the corners, and you can see through it. And the way you fix that is you just use a whole bunch of powder. which causes other problems. But if I can do a chamfer or a light fillet, then it will just kind of help that round over and avoid the surface tension issues.
Yeah, I mean, I would look at doing what you're talking about. That'd make your pallets a lot easier. You can literally just make a pallet, like where you just space it off and put holes, and you don't even have to have any kind of negative. If you're just going to do a chamfer on the second side, the repeatability of those holes is plenty good enough. Like I was
Especially when you
chamfering
powder
every single part and also countersinking the other side screws, and it was still fine to work and line up an M2 hole. I oversized a little bit, like the holes for my M2 screws were 2.2, and then the countersink was like a 4 millimeter countersink compared to like I think it's like 3.6, and it would line up just fine.
That's good to know. Because
And
I
then
also plan
for
on doing that with the scales.
yeah, and then for like the coin figs, for instance, the way I make the plates is I drill my 4 holes first, and then I flip it over in the fixture and use the same fixture that clamps it, like which is a what do you call it? Where you a centric bolt, and then I just line up the holes by sticking a dental pick into like another alignment hole, and that just kind of
Okay.
gets it where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And then I just tighten it down, and that locates enough to where I can add the secondary features on the
Huh.
backside.
Okay. Well, thanks for. I feel a lot more confident about this now.
Yeah, no, I think that would be way easier. You won't struggle with the thing. The only thing I would be concerned with is warping. If you remove enough material, it shouldn't be a problem. So like when I first did Snap, I bought everything as just like a 7 by 2 inch strip, and then I drilled the holes, and I started making them, and then everything just came out like a potato chip.
Yeah.
So I had to like bake the stock. But once I did the water jet on titanium, I never had that warping again because I removed almost all the
Interesting.
material with just that.
And I'm not removing any material from the top or the bottom. I'm just adding some tapped holes and some slots, so that you don't have like the unequal stress relief problem where it causes the potato chipping.
And the only reason you're adding the slots is for, I know the
It's the
bottom one's
flexure.
that's for the what?
The new carabiners, they only have the one slot at the bottom for the flexure.
And okay, so it's just the flexure. So you can't
Yep.
water jet cut that in
I could probably do it with a water jet. You can't do it with a laser.
because the heat or what?
Yeah, it burns.
Okay, so it would temper it a weird way.
The walls are so thin that there's like some weird like charring.
Okay.
They just didn't come out right. You could probably do it with a water jet.
Yeah, the kerf on a water jet is 0.015 inches, I think, or at least the Wazer. Or not the, why do you call it a damn Wazer? The Protomax. They're like the new
Yeah.
Google. They took the name.
As designed right now, that's a 3 millimeter slot. I'm actually thinking about getting some custom tools made to go for like 100 thou or like 110 thou slot, just because I want those walls a little bit thicker without making the carabiner bigger.
Is that not? Oh, so 3 millimeters is 0.125 roughly.
3 millimeters is like 1/18, I believe.
0.118.
I just want one that's a little bit smaller.
They make 2.5 millimeter end mill?
I don't know.
Might be what it is.
Yeah, 3 millimeters is 0.118, and I want like 0.1. There's
So you
some
would
fractional size that's like 0.09625 or something like that.
just do. You could
And that's
do 1
pretty close,
millimeter,
but-
and I mean, ever since I started with these keycaps, I started playing with that like that high feed strategy, and it's been amazing. Like just using a normal end mill, but taking I think on the latest thing with the titanium ones I'm taking a 16th inch end mill, and I'm cutting 8 thou deep, 60 inches a minute in titanium.
I'm
65%.
basically doing the same thing. I don't remember. I used to use like an actual high feed mill, and I would push those at 10K RPM. I think 5 thou inches per tooth or something like that. Like it was just super fast. I'm now using a traditional end mill because they do better at not leaving a burr on the bottom side of the part. I don't remember my feeds on that though. I think they're like 6,000 RPM or something.
Yeah, I just had to start using a high feed mill just to cut time. I got an 1/8 inch one. I'm doing I think 10 thou step down, and it just zips through it. It's great.
Yeah. On the bright side, with these ones, like on my new carabiners, there's a lot less material removal.
You actually have the one
So-
slot, right?
Yeah, because I only have the one slot, and then drilling holes and tapping, like that's a relatively quick process, assuming your tap stays intact.
I can't believe it was the floating tap head was the solution. I thought that would be like another dead end. Because I've heard horror stories about those. Like if they're just not good quality, they just make it worse.
Interested. I've never needed one in the past. Harrison and I found that rounding issue that may or may not be the cause. I meant to test that to see if changing fixing that rounding issue in the code would prevent the tap from breaking, but I haven't gotten around to that.
I don't know. Wasn't it like 4/10 or not? Yeah, 4/10.
It was a tenth and a quarter per revolution.
And you had
I don't know, a bunch of revolutions.
A bunch of revolutions. It just doesn't seem. I mean, like when I look at like the size of a tenth, it's so minuscule. Like even a thou, it takes 4 thou for a human hair. Like
yeah, but these are really small taps, and there's no slop in them.
And it's also only 12 thou per between. So
yeah, it was like
12 thou per thread or per revolution.
Oh, between the actual thread.
Yeah.
That's pretty tiny. And you pick. So why did you pick 080 threads?
There is not like the bigger screws don't fit. It's just a very small little thing because I need flathead screws, and if you want the flathead to be smaller than the width of the carabiner.
What's your width on the carabiner? Is it 4 millimeters?
It's about 3/16. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's just you need a very small screw.
I've started designing all my products around an M2 screw.
Okay.
Just because I know it so well now.
I have standardized on AUT80s 256. 256? Is that what number 2 is? Anyway, zeros, number 2s, and number 4s. And those are the only threads that I'll use on products. I also have quarter 20s for fixtures, but like I'm not going to stock any other screws, just those ones.
Yeah, I only use quarter 20 for that. I started using M3 for this new project, so I bought the thread mill to do M3 screws.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so big.
Yeah.
It's weird, like seeing a bigger screw.
Did you know you can tap a Cheez-It M3?
Yeah, I saw your video. Did that explode? Like, are you like it's like as good as the pencil sharpening video?
The Cheez-It didn't do super well. It got like 1,600 views. I also machined off the head of an Oreo, and that got like 6,000 views.
Oh, that's good, actually. I'm so bummed. So I was looking at Instagram Reels today. I'm like, where did the bonuses go? And they took away bonuses from Instagram Reels.
They never let me get the bonuses anyway, so I'm not upset.
I don't know how I unlocked it, but I just got it once, and I've been doing it for like the last year, and it paid my phone bill. But
yeah,
I guess they recently just decided like we're done, no more bonuses.
Yeah, that's like super fresh. Like that's within a couple weeks, if I remember right. They decided they can't compete with YouTube.
I don't even know how to get partner program on that.
9 cents per 1,000 views.
Do you get paid off YouTube? Like, do you have enough follower or like? Okay.
I have been grandfathered in. I actually don't have meet the watch time requirements, but my YouTube was started in 2016, where the requirements were much less stringent.
Okay. Yeah.
So I get my $20 a month. Actually, I get my $20 a month every 5 months when I hit my $100.
I wish I could. That was like my goal this year. Is I was going to focus on social media and like videos. And I just can't do it. I don't know why. I can't like sit down and record videos.
We have done a lot of that over the last couple of weeks. Like we're basically a video production studio at this point. Now that we have Scott, like.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
And your videos have been a lot better, quality-wise.
Yeah, I've been happy with the last couple. The only thing is, like, we released the video today, and like right as we finished editing that one, we found a different SD card that had the other half of the video, and we were like, "Oh, that's why that one was so short." And so that video is going to get a second part.
That's good.
But yeah, the plan is 2 videos a week, Monday and Thursday.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's what I need is like a schedule.
Yeah.
And then something that I can actually take the time and record stuff.
I mean, if you do a video a month, you're like killing Grimsmo. So.
It's the I got to do my Kickstarter video and I keep putting it off.
Hmm. I need to do
It's
that.
gonna be
That's my goal
terrible,
for
but
tomorrow.
I have to do it. I have everything else done. I have to change my rewards a little bit. I got a new idea, but other than that, it should be good. I'll wait till the last possible minute.
How are you structuring your rewards with so many variations?
So just like I did the chill pill, so initially it's called switch in color. The initial start is just black, and then as I meet each different type of goal, I think it's like every 2,000 or every 1,000, I unlock
Hmm.
another color.
Okay.
And then once you're the next thing, unlock the next color. And it unlocks, and basically pick your colors still at the end of the rewards, but I'll have them vote on what colors to unlock. And then by the time you hit
Okay.
color 5, everything's unlocked. And then I have new materials, the keychain add-on, be able to color the caps. And I think that's kind of where I drew the line so far.
But what are your rewards? Are your rewards like get a red keychain, get a blue keychain, or
Oh,
buttons, or is it
so
like
early bird
premium
is
materials, cheap materials?
so it's just aluminum coated. So the first $39 early bird is enough to fund the whole Kickstarter. I think it's like
Hmm.
40 backers at $39. And then I'll hit my fundings. That basically gets me enough to get them anodized. So if I only sold that, I could still get them anodized. And then I'll have 15 spots where I'm going to call it the impatient, and that's going to get one of the 15 random the samples I'm getting coded right now. So as soon
Okay.
as I get my funding from Kickstarter, you'll get mailed the sample and it'll be done. So let's call it the impatient tier. You don't get to pick your color; it'll be random. And then after that, it's just each individual item, and then there's add-ons for it. And then there's like a 3-pack and a 5-pack because you got to have those options available for them.
So how many total different rewards do you have?
I'll have
Like how
so
many
with
reward tiers?
so go live. I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, all 5
Okay. That's
for
not
go
too
live.
bad. And are you using BackerKit?
I probably will just to do the service. I haven't done a Kickstarter since they launched their internal backer kit, so
Hmm.
I don't know what's better. Like backer kit's expensive.
BackerKit.
Backer kit
Just use BackerKit. Yeah.
is it really? I mean, backer kit always gets you more like sales afterwards. Like you get a good
Yep.
chunk from like add-ons, but I thought Kickstarter maybe with the add-ons now incorporated into the system, you won't get as many in backer kit.
I don't know. You get both.
I guess you
And
could get both.
BackerKit pays for itself.
What I hate about BackerKit is the postal system is awful. Like you have to like buy credits to spend on buying postage for your BackerKit. I mean, you probably you just use Pirate Ship, right?
Yeah, just use Pirate Ship. Yeah,
Yeah,
export a whatever format that is, a
yeah.
CSV, import it into BackerKit.
I guess I could do it this time. It's just like I remember having to do like they don't tell you how much you're going to have to spend until you actually buy the postage, and then to refill your account, they charge you a 5% fee. So you got to kind
That's
of do the
dumb.
math to make it line up
Yeah.
to make sure you have enough to buy it. Otherwise, you end up with, like credit left over.
No, that sounds awful. Yeah,
Yeah,
Pirate
it's
Ship
pretty.
is great.
I use Pirate Ship to send like my one-up stuff, or if I miss
Mhm.
or if I forget to send someone something, I'll use that.
Yeah, I liked BackerKit. I wouldn't use it on a small campaign like the coins. I didn't bother with BackerKit, but like the way we're doing rewards is I think we're only going to have, if you exclude early birds, we're only going to have a couple different tiers, and it's going to be like get 1 carabiner, get 2 carabiners, get 5 carabiners, and then all of the color selection and everything's going to be in BackerKit.
You just got to get 1 carabiners and then add a tier for each scale. So get 1 carabiner, get 5 sets of scales, get 2 sets of scales, get 5 carabiners and 1 set of scale each. Like you can get crazy with it.
We could, but so we have, so our tiers are just get number of carabiners, 1, 2, 3
Yeah.
carabiners, whatever. The all of our everything costs the same cost. So like there's no stone washed anymore in this campaign. Even our titanium color is going to be clear coated because that gives you a nicer finish than the stone washed. At least with the laser cut edges, it does a better job of hiding those.
Yeah.
And so everything's the same cost. So you can add on extra scales or extra cores, but like I don't need to have separate tiers to do separate pricing.
I just wonder how well. I guess I haven't as I haven't tested it with the ad or I haven't done Kickstarter since they added their own internal add-on system. But I guess if you have good enticing add-ons, I guess people will click and add it when they shop out. So I've done a few Kickstarters like bought from since then.
There were a lot of add-ons on the Not for Climbing carabiner.
Okay. Well, you get all the
Like
keychains, right?
Yeah, we had the pry bars, we had key rings. We sold a lot of key rings. Let's see, pry bars, key rings, extra carabiners. People added on a lot of extra carabiners.
Okay, so that's good to know.
Um,
Yeah, I'm gonna do keycaps, like more keycaps, so you can swap it out there. Obviously, more of the clickers, more key switches, the keychain add-on if I can get enough people to buy it because I have to justify the cost. And then I'll probably think of some other ideas by the time it goes live.
yeah, we're doing enamel pins with this Kickstarter. Traditionally,
I've
we
always
do a
wanted to do
sticker
enamel
pack as a
pin.
stretch goal. This time we're doing enamel pins.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to do because I've done the digit patches, like the
Hmm.
little Velcro patches. I finally sold through those. I think I'll probably get some more. I just need someone to design me a logo. Like I designed tactile logo by myself. I designed digit by myself, but I can't ever. I'm like terrible with like artsy stuff.
This is why I have a Scott.
Yeah, so that's kind of nice. So Harrison, like, what's your next big thing? You've been quiet this whole time. I haven't heard a word from you. You're just sitting there like nodding.
Well, I keep trying to get in and it doesn't work. So I'm just letting you guys talk. Not a whole lot. Just I had a big meeting with a customer and it went well. And I've gotten 3 POs from then since then, including a rush order that happened today. So I got 2 or 3 days to get that done. Just been running around trying to get things going. Had a gun show this weekend. Sold 2 guns.
So
So
how many guns do you buy and sell now?
that's the first 2 I've ever sold was this
Okay.
weekend.
Is it a
So
pain to buy a gun and sell a gun? I feel like it'd be so much regulation and.
we have an FFL.
But
So
you don't. I mean, I guess you're in Arkansas, right?
yeah,
Is there like background? There's not like cool off periods or anything. Like I'm only used to California, where like if you want to buy a gun, you have to like do a whole bunch of checks. You have
I mean, there's
to.
a background check, but as long as you pass that, you're good. So
Okay,
I
but do
mean,
you
we
do
can
it like if you sell a gun, does someone pick it up right then and there, or do you have to like
if
tell them to come
if you
back?
if they pass the background check or if they have a concealed carry. If you have a
Okay,
concealed carry, you don't actually have to do a background check because that validates it. So that's
really?
the equivalent of a background check. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and there's actually a big misnomer about like we went to a gun show and we probably would have sold more guns, but there's a lot of those guys that come in there. They're like, they want the private sales. They don't want to go through an FFL. But one thing that's interesting that I now know better that I didn't realize before is that the government doesn't know what gun you bought. They just know that you wanted a background check to get one. And they just say yes or no. But they have no record of what you actually buy. The only people that have a record of what you actually buy is the FFL you bought it from. And then if that gun ever gets involved in a crime, then the FBI has to do a trace, which they will send out and kind of trace the path of the gun from the manufacturer to whoever it was sold to. And that's the only time that they can figure out what gun was sold to what person.
Oh, so the serial number isn't tied to your name until you do something bad.
It's tied to your name through the FFL, but the FFL doesn't report any of that to the government. Like all I have is a book record of everyone I've sold to, a ledger,
Yeah.
and then if something happens, they look at that ledger to see if the name of the person they're looking on is and or if the gun they're looking for is on it, depending on if they have the gun or a name, and then once they can match the two, then that's when they know who has what.
Okay, but you have to like submit that ledger every time you sell a gun.
Nope, I never have to
So
submit
just
the
when so
ledger.
they only look it up as something if they're looking for information.
Basically, that is
Wow,
the
that's
only
so
time they know.
wild. So as long as you don't, if nothing ever bad happens, your ledger may never be touched.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I
Does
would
that
have thought it
change
would.
per state or is that federal?
That's federal.
Huh. Interesting.
So I don't know,
Wow,
like
that's
if states have their own deals, but it's one of those things that I always like whenever you have to buy a gun and you have to fill out all the paperwork. I was like, okay, well, I mean, this gun's now registered, but all that means is that there was a record from the person you bought it, but the government doesn't have access to that
until they need it.
until they need it. And then like if I get hit with a trace, I have 48 hours to comply. And which basically means I need to tell them that they can come, and they have to send agents to come and look through my books at that point.
Huh. Do you have like a physical book, or is this like an
It's
Airtable
physical
document?
books.
It's the government. It's for sure a physical
Yeah,
piece of
okay.
paper.
No. You can get digital. They have digital ones, but here's the problem with
It's
that.
MS DOS.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is if I'm writing something out and I misspell something, I can line it out and correct it on a book. On the digital ones, as soon as I hit that submit button, I cannot go back and edit it. And with the government's zero tolerance for mistakes, if I got an ATF agent who's having a bad day, if they see any mistake anywhere, my butt's in trouble at that point. And so with the paper, you have a lot more leniency because you can misspell something and write it out and just initial by it.
That's interesting. That's backwards, but okay, I get it.
I'm so glad that I don't play in these realms of regulated things.
I mean, after he explains it, like I don't see why you wouldn't want to. It seems so easy.
Yeah.
You just write stuff in a book.
More or less, yes. You just have to take photos of everything, like
I
driver's
thought it was
license.
like much more complicated. I thought they were like auditing your book. You had to constantly send it in.
I mean, no.
You have to like submit all this extra documentation all the time.
No, it's like we had the ATF there once whenever we were going through the process to get set up, and we haven't seen them since.
Now, okay, is the margin on guns good?
Depends. We're trying to do value add-on stuff. That's the only reason. So we buy guns, and then we're doing services that we offer to people, and then those are showpieces that we then sell.
But
so
if you were just like a gun dealer, like let's say you didn't want to go that proposition, if I buy a Glock 9mm because it's really the only thing I know off the top of my head, like wholesale, what do I sell that for, and like what's my margin I'm going to make on something?
It depends greatly. So there's some guys that like there's some manufacturers that their MSRP is like you have like 40% margin, and then there's other companies that are like Glock, for example, because they're such a popular brand. Like I can only get that like 15% discount, if that. It's probably closer to like 10 or 5. I don't remember what it is. It like for your first 20 guns, it's big, but after that, it decreases to like nothing. And so, like because of the volume that they're selling, they don't offer their network.
Yeah, your
very high
small
margin
piece. They're just going to sell a big
they're not worried.
someone.
They know that people are going to buy a Glock because the Glock brand is really well known. Versus the people that do like special custom stuff, or are lesser known, there's higher margins in that stuff. So, but I mean, like there's a guy that we do a lot of work with. He's got the lowest margins at a lot of these gun shows, and he'll move like 5 or 6 times the amount of guns as the next closest person. And so his margins are much lower than everyone else, but he moves a lot of guns.
He's just doing volume.
Mm-hmm.
My affiliate rates in my affiliate programs are better than the margins they're making on that gun.
Your affiliate rates are crazy.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like it's definitely very interesting. And what I love about it more than anything is like I've always liked guns. I've never been like a gun nut, but being able to work on so many guns, I have such a good feel for what I like in a gun and what I don't like by working on everyone else's stuff without ever having to get it. And so like when I want to go buy a gun, I know so much more about it now just by the nature of having to work on all these different things that like some of them I really like, some of them I don't like. Like I really like how simple Glocks are in some respects, but there's certain elements about them that I absolutely hate. And then I'll look at another brand and I'm like, man, I wish they did it like Glock did, but they did this thing different over here. And it is just like, why can't Glock do this? Because this is amazing and so much easier to work on. And so like it's really cool to kind of get into the innards of how they all work and how much everyone rips off each other, but makes it a little different.
I can't wait until you come out with your own line of handguns or whatever.
Oh, I on some level I would like to, but I mean I don't know if we ever would.
The liability, I feel like it's too crazy.
Yeah. It's for us, the big reason we got into it more than anything was to get people in the door and as a form of marketing. And for that, it's done a really good job. It's gotten a lot of people know about us in the community now. And like, I've got a lot of word of mouth spread through the gun stuff, specifically because there's not a lot of people around in the area that actually do machining gun work. It's a very very low tapped market, at least in this area. There's a lot of big companies that do it, but not on the local level.
Yeah.
So
I'm still blown away how they maintain firearms.
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, it's crazy. I prefer it this way though. I don't
Oh
really
yeah, no,
want
I
them.
wouldn't complain either. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I it's fascinating because my understanding of it is completely different than now of what I thought it was before. So, but yeah. That and so getting off the gun topic a little bit, this company that I'm working with, if we keep growing in that area, you guys started asking me a little bit about the machine thing. I was thinking about that a second. My next big machine that I would get, I gotta get a bigger machine over my Haas or over my Tormach.
BS3.
Yeah, something.
TF2, right? While you're next by. Oh, you're talking about the Maho or whatever, right?
Well,
Don't buy a
okay.
Maho.
Don't buy a Maho. Yeah.
Okay,
The whole internet agrees.
No. AJ, back me up on this. What were you talking about right before the podcast that the Maho does that I haven't
The
found
Maho
another
has
machine?
the vertical table.
Okay. So the Maho has a vertical table with key.
You know what else has a vertical table?
What?
A lathe just turned the other way.
Yeah, that's
Like
basically
the
what
lathe is
that
just a
was.
better choice.
That was the well, yeah, that was a
Is
that
the
was a
Maho
great idea.
secretly just a lathe? It's a
Yes.
Y-axis lathe.
They've been doing it wrong this whole time.
But yeah, no, I need a bigger machine if I'm going to take on some of those bigger jobs from this company. They do. What's interesting is after I toured their facility, I think a VF2. Like I was originally looking at something like a VF3 size before I went and talked to them, but after talking to them, a VF2 would cover I think 90%. And then after that, I'd have to go up to like a router table because they have a lot of like these big aluminum plates that are like fully machined, like 6 foot by 10-foot plates of aluminum.
That's just a job you don't take. You pass it off to someone else and you stick with the stuff that's on a VF2.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So,
what's the CR Onsrod? Is that the machine that, or the company that makes the big routers? That's what you really need.
oh yeah,
Saunders did a tour there.
yeah, it'd be cool, but I don't have the space for anything right now.
That's fair.
And I was going to ask you, how do you like in that Protomax? Because for this company, what I do is there's a separate machine shop. They actually have the Omax water jet, that like ridiculously precise one.
Oh, they have the it's like the micro jet.
Yes.
I think I saw it on
Yeah.
IMTS. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have one of those, and I get all my water jet stuff cut there. And then I will take it, and then I will finish machine the profile on the sides that need to have a machine finish, and then I'll drill and tap my holes, and it is so much faster than having to machine out of a solid stock.
Yeah, that's
But
why I got it.
Yeah, but at some point we want to bring a water jet in house, and the Protomax is the one that we were looking at.
Like I mean, depends on how big your part. Because you're only 12 by 12 inch thick. 12 by 12 sheet can fit on it.
Yeah.
So like, are you
What's
only
that-
cutting
what's that-
small stuff?
No.
Yeah, so you need like a real water jet, which I mean, you can get them, or look at a plasma table.
Well, it's aluminum, and can you do aluminum on the plasma?
I'm pretty sure you can. There's something special with it though, but because I was looking at getting the Crossfire at one point, but there's no I had nowhere to put it, so I decided not to get that. But I think you can.
The company that makes the Protomax, they make a machine called the Omax 2626, I think. Which
Yeah, they
I
have
think,
full size ones.
Yeah, but I don't want a full size one. I can fit everything on a 2 foot by 2 foot sheet that we're doing right now. I can't fit it on a 1 by 1 because I have some parts.
They have a 2 foot or a 2 by 2 or a 4 by 4. I think they make.
Yeah, a 2 by 2 would be the perfect size, but I don't really want to spend half a $1,000,000 on the microjet.
Yeah, no. Is that how much the microjet is?
Yes.
Oh, I was gonna ask how much that thing was, but holy crap!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking like $100 something thousand, not no
No,
half a million.
it's got curve compensation. It's got like a fifth axis head that can like adjust for the curve, so you have
Okay,
no
that's one extra
taper.
stepper drive. That's two extra stepper drivers. Like,
And it and like the precision that it can do.
they were making
He's got
tweezers
a
on it. It was pretty impressive. Like,
Yeah, he water jet, like the guy that I go to. He water jetted this little semi truck, and it's got like the windows and the tires and the little hitch, and it all fits together. And it's like this big,
yeah,
like it's tiny, and it's like these ridiculously thin features. And he did it on that. I'm like, okay, there's
not
like
half a
that's
million dollars though. Like that's
yeah,
cool, but not for $500,000.
Yeah.
yeah.
How much does an EDM cost? Like a wire
100 some,
EDM?
like 100 to 200,000. I think I saw like a cheaper one.
Now
I,
the
like, because they have
I,
those Chinese water jets, or not water jets, EDMs that use the thicker wires that continually rotate, or whatever
I
they
haven't
do.
seen those.
Yeah, they have like a fast EDM or something like that. Sorry, Harrison.
did either of you see the Kickstarter for the guy that made an EDM out of a 3D printer?
It's gonna fail. I'm
Yeah, it's
sorry.
not.
Didn't
Even if
it
he funds, it's
exploded,
not going to
right?
work.
Well, like didn't the pop like it has crazy amount of support.
Does it?
I think it went viral, so he's kind of screwed. If that's the same one
Yeah.
I'm thinking of. I read about someone that went viral from it.
Well,
I
I mean,
thought
if
that
the
was
Kickstarter is basically just for a power supply and you provide your own motion platform, that's more reasonable.
it
Like,
looked
that's-
pretty.
scaling though, like there's a point where like scaling gets too much. It's just gonna fail from that reason. It's not even gonna fail from
Yeah.
him like being able to, like it's easy enough, but the scale
That's true.
and then like the customer service afterwards and the managing the like just shipping and doing the logistics, like it's gonna get too out of hand.
Yeah.
It was bad
It's-
enough for 700 carabiners. I can't imagine
Yeah.
an order of magnitude more or whatever, and on a more complicated product.
They call that what, the Oprah effect? Have you heard of that?
Hmm.
Oh, like they get like where you can get shouted out and it just kills you. It kills your
Yeah.
company rather than helps you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see why. Like when I did that. What was it? Like collab with Carryology for like a product. Oh man, that was a brutal month. I did 3 times my sales in a month, like 3x. Like
Yeah.
that was a killer.
But
It-
did you come out the other side stronger?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Like, I love that it came out of that same mentality. Like, you don't just stop; you just push through it and like deal with it. But
Yeah.
like for like a month, I was just like stressed. It was like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got my first wholesale order for the carabiners.
Oh,
Did it go
nice.
through?
It technically hasn't yet, but like it's a guy I know, and I trust that he will actually do it. It's only for 20 carabiners, but I'll
That's
take
pretty
it.
good. I mean, that's something. Did it like overseas or is it local?
Oh no, it's well, I assume he's in the U.S. somewhere.
Okay. Are
But
you branding
these
them at
ones will
all
be
for
in
him?
great. What?
Are you gonna brand it all for him, like specially, or is just going to be your product and he's just gonna sell it from like his shop?
It is. Well, I don't really differentiate between. I need a better word than wholesale. I would call this like a volume sale to a business because he's
Okay.
not reselling it. It's a corporate gift kind of thing.
Oh, okay, okay.
So he's buying, he's buying 20 of them, which is a decent quantity for me.
Yeah, I got a random order through Etsy for coins for that once. They bought like 30 custom engraved coins for their 30th anniversary or something.
Yeah,
That was a lot.
but yeah, these will have a engraving on them. I'm going to send them off to Harrison to use his laser to engrave them.
You got to get your own fiber laser.
I will eventually.
Okay.
They're
Right now,
awesome.
I'm kind of on a spending hold, but
You're gonna realize how much you love it, and then you never gonna want to go back. Like once you get one.
that's kind of how I am with my CO2 laser.
The
Yeah.
fiber was like my favorite. And, like getting that machine for the first time was so fun, and like what you can do with it.
Yeah. Do you engrave a lot of your stuff other than just your logo?
Yeah, so my chill pills all have my logo inside of it, just to market. The coins, I do all my own coins for like the sales. I mean, those move like an okay volume. But that's pretty much mainly what I use it for. I don't do anything crazy with it besides just marking. I played with like deep engraving and like 3D engraving, but it's usually have some extra time laying around. I'll mess with that. And then I've tried playing with color engraving, but I don't think I have the patience for it.
Yeah, I think I would only really want to do deep engravings on mine because I don't put my logo on any of my products. I guess I would do engravings for customers with stuff like this. I want to start pushing the tape measures to corporate customers, like, hey, get your here's a construction company, put your logo on your tape measure, and give them out as goodies to your employees or to customers.
Yeah.
Or go to like the local John Deere and be like, hey, look, I got some John Deere themed keychains.
And then they sue you for taking their logo. Cease and desist.
I was thinking about calling that color combination right to repair tractor.
Ooh, I like it. I
There you
approve.
go.
Yeah.
For sure do that.
Yeah, I don't actually know if I could sell to John Deere.
Not if you're putting right to repair on it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You guys got
Well, we're
anything
having
else?
long, awkward silences.
Yeah.
I was
Should
gonna
we
say, I was gonna
wrap
say
this up?
this is a test of the cleanup after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm wondering what that's going to sound like after that. I was curious.
I think it just edits it out. You can set parameters. You can set the minimum length of a silence that it'll edit out. So I think by default it's like it'll edit out silences that are 2 seconds or longer.
Would
And
this
you
be
can
the
change-
first time you use it?
This will be the second time.
Okay, so it's like I thought in the past, like I've heard like, okay, let's get ready to wrap it up. I'm like, wow, that was really quick, just from you guys like either like reading each other's like minds, or there's like a long pause there waiting.
Hey, we've done this for 29 episodes. We're basically experts.
Basically.
It's pretty, I mean, it's pretty good
That was
running.
sarcastic.
Not a lot of podcasts make it that far.
Yeah, I think it's like 90% of podcasts fail within the first 10 episodes.
Oh, you guys are good then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're basically old timers,
Yeah.
graybeards.
Our biggest thing is that we have 2 tries every week, Monday and then Wednesday.
In case
If
one of us
Monday doesn't
forgets
work.
and goes to the store.
That's classic.
Yeah, I'm getting better about getting on time, and so I'm like, "Hey, AJ, where you at?"
That's awesome. Okay. I think I'm gonna eat some dinner then.
Yeah.
Well, Harrison, take us out.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for hanging on for that music is going to keep throwing me off. Thanks for for hanging on till the end. Thank you for coming on this podcast with us this time, Derek.
Thanks.
It was great to have you. I really enjoy having the guests, and I'm sure those that are listening probably do as well. We'll catch you all next week. This is Harrison with Precision Ingenuity signing out with AJ from Design the Everything and Derek from Fidget Things. See you guys later.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Oh, you ruined my bye.
Oh.